All right, so we are finally going to check out this Blokees Action Edition version of Soundwave. I have been waiting for this. Finally found some time to do this box opening, and hopefully I'll be able to build it as well. We'll see if I can find the time for that. But this thing looks super cool. It's got, of course, it has Soundwave, but just from the box front alone, we can see that it has 4 of his cassette minions. It's got up here Laserbeak, we have Ravage, Rumble, and Ratbat. Now Ratbat I'm not as familiar with as the other ones. I'm sure it must have been in the cartoon somewhere. But anyway, we got it. So if we look down in the bottom of the box here, we can see that few pertinent information. Magnetic activated sound and eye lighting. Very cool. I don't think that's shown up in any of the other Blokees that I've built before. Of course, no brush, no glue, and no cutters are required. And we have 327 pieces. So that's way more than any of the Blokees like the Galaxy Edition and, of course, the Defenders. So let's take a look at the back of the box. Some nice action poses here. It looks like either we're going to build cassette versions of the minions, or, heaven forbid, they might actually transform. I seriously doubt they're going to be transforming, but I guess we'll see once we open it. So we have here perfect color assignment, human system, which sounds interesting. I'm not quite sure what to expect for that. We have the accessories listing, and of course, movable body. Oh, and what's this over here? The exclusive light and sound effect system. Interesting. And I think from the accessories here, we can see that the cassette versions are going to probably be separate than the built versions. There's no way that they would have those transform. It would be cool, but I don't foresee that happening. Anyway, let's turn this over. Why don't we open the box and see what we get inside, huh? All right. This thing is a beast of a box. This thing is like at least a foot tall. What is all this? Oh, wow. So, what do we get in here? Lots of instructions, which we'll look at in a second. That is a book. A book of instructions. Oh, interesting. So there's separate bags for some of the components, it looks like. Can't really see what's in there. It's definitely the Decepticon symbol. And maybe this is the sound brick. Not sure. But this is certainly the parts for at least some of the cassettes and maybe some of the minions. The base, of course. It's this other little one over here. Just a few sprues. Now, I'm not, of course, from the other Blokees, I'm not used to the fact that the pieces are going to be on sprues. Of course, it's pretty standard in model kits that you get the parts on the sprues. That's one of the things I actually liked about the Galaxy version of the Blokees, is that all the pieces were pretty much already separated from the sprues. You probably still had to, at least in some cases, cut off some excess plastic because they were attached to sprues at some point. But, so in this one, it's basically like any high-level model kit where we're going to have to separate the pieces from the sprues. So this one here is just, looks like instructions for the light trigger. And of course we have it in multiple languages. Let's see here. And the same thing. All right. Now the book. Now this book is what? It's like 20, 30 pages. We got some notes for assembling, how to assemble. I think that's pretty self-explanatory if you built a model kit in the past. Press parts down carefully. Interesting. Okay. Module list. And then a runner's list for all the different sprues. Okay, so looks like the instructions are nicely separated. We have the head components, chest and waist. Takes up a lot. Wait, we must have skipped something. Yeah, okay. Crotch components. All right, arm components. And leg components. There is certainly... Okay, so main body completed. And then we have the various accessories, the concussion blaster, laser beak, ravage, rat bat, and rumble. Looks like rumble has the most instructions, 2 pages at least. Oh, 3 pages. Wow. And then we have a stand. It's nice. And essentially how to do some of the various action aspects of this. All right, wow. Did I just see what I think I saw? Yes. We are going to build each individual finger. Wow, okay. And they are posable too. This is going to take quite a while, I feel. All right, I think I will go about getting this thing built. Maybe we'll do a time lapse for a little bit, although it's definitely going to be slow. It's not going to be like building a Lego where I just have to find the various pieces. This is going to be finding the pieces, then cutting the pieces off of the sprue and making sure there's no excess plastic, and then finally building. So maybe we'll just skip ahead to the end of each section, and we'll see what each component looks like. All right, I haven't even started building yet, but when I took the first sprue out of the bag, I noticed that some of the pieces had already been popped off. And then I realized that I think these things are actually just held on there by hair, thin pieces of plastic, such that popping these off is not going to leave very much of a residue. There's still a little bit there. But let's try another piece here. So, oh yeah, those things pop off fairly easily. Although, as you can see, there is a plastic residue. So I will probably be getting my pair of snippers to chop that off, and perhaps a little sandpaper as well. All right, back to building. All right, and we are back. Yeah, I know I said I would come back after each section was built, but I just couldn't stop myself. I got into the groove and just built until it was completed. So here we are with the finished model. This thing is huge. I'd say it's a good 8 to 10 inches tall. Tons of detail. Even on the back, there's some details, including these parts almost certainly would have been for when it would transform into its cassette player form, but here's like a volume knob and an on and off switch, which can actually be moved. This one can actually be rotated also. But yeah, I mean, every little piece here that's a different color was a small piece to put on, including these little yellow details, the like these different color, this red strip around the hands, around the wrists, I should say. Very detailed model. Now, for the most part, it was pretty easy to put together. In fact, I really didn't need to trim off very much excess plastic at all. The pieces generally came off of the sprues fairly easily. In fact, sometimes too easily. At one point, I got to a part where there was a small piece not on the sprue when it was supposed to be. And I was very confused at first because I know I hadn't used that part. So then I looked through the bags, which luckily I had kept, and the piece had actually come off in the bag and it was still at the bottom. So if you get this model or any of these Action Series Blokees where the sprues are in the bag, always make sure that you get all the pieces out before you throw the bags away. I can't stress that enough, how upsetting that would have been if the piece hadn't been there. So, so there's definitely tons of posability. The joints are fairly tight, so I'm actually a little afraid to do too much of the adjustments. You can see here, like the feet are adjustable. We can spread the legs. There's definitely tons of posability in the hips and the knees. The one that's the hardest up here is the shoulders. So they turned this way perfectly fine, except when we want to actually extend the arm out, it's really tight. And in fact, when I try to do it, more often than not, I rip the arm off. So it might be that that will loosen up over time. I hope that's the case. So there's another functionality down here that I'm going to try to demonstrate. Let's see if I can do it without ripping the thing apart. I don't know if this was actually a part of the original Soundwave transformer toy from back in Generation 1, but the legs feature a pull-out... Oh, am I going to just like rip this off? There's like a speaker that pops out of here. Let's see. Ah, here it is. So similarly, there's one on this side, but yeah, these open up and a speaker pops out. Let me know in the comments if this was actually a function in the original G1 Soundwave. I don't know for sure. I'm not going to take this one out just because it's the same thing. I'm afraid that I'm going to rip that off there. This actually locks this one, but nothing really locks the one on this side as far as I can tell. So, okay. Fingers, all posable, adjustable. They're actually pretty tough to move as well. They were actually on the sprue as one piece, but they are definitely bendable in all of the finger joints that you can see there. The thumb is just one piece, but I guess the thumb doesn't need to be much more than that. Let's see what else. So this is movable. Ah, yes. Let's demonstrate some of the other functions. So we can actually open the cassette cover by actually using the eject button up here. This opens it up, and we do have a cassette to put in. Now let's see if I get this right. I think it goes in this way. And we can close it on up, and the eject button pops back up, and you see that the cassette is in there. That's actually Laserbeak, I'm pretty sure. So then to get it out, we just, let's move this arm out of the way. It's just, it doesn't pop open, but we can open it fairly easily by pushing the eject button. And then just, pulling that out of there, it's a little bit difficult. There we go. And close it back up. So this was the only actual workable cassette that can go into the Soundwave figure itself. There was another one of a different size. I guess that's supposed to be Rumble. But this is, as you can see, it's not designed to be put into the figure. It's differently sized, and there's no cassette holes for the spindles, essentially. All right, so we'll put that down there. Those are two of the accessories. Obviously, we have this. What do they call it in the manual? There's actually a name for this. It's actually his rocket launcher. So this is the rocket launcher on his shoulder. I guess I never knew that, but we actually have his. Let me get the name of that one as well. That is the concussion blaster. So we'll put that in his right hand over here, if I can. Move out of the way there, thumb. And we'll wrap those fingers around there, and there we go with the concussion blaster in place for the classic look. Now these, both the missile launcher and the concussion blaster can be transformed and placed on his back. I'm not going to do that in action, but I will show you in the manual where it happens. It's right here. So both of them transform into just cylinders that can be attached onto the back. But I don't remember ever seeing him like that. Maybe that would be if we could transform him into the cassette player, but I think we'll just keep him in his usual form with the rocket launcher on the shoulder. All right, so what else? Let's test, here, let's show the minions. We'll move him over to the side here. Of course, we have Laserbeak. There's a little bit of posability. The neck and the legs can be posed. Other than that, I guess the wings can be rotated, but they can't really do much else. They can't fold back or anything like that. Now there is another version of the legs that have a peg at the bottom so that we could mount Laserbeak in various locations. For instance, maybe on Soundwave's arm. And with that in mind, there's actually, let's put that down here. There's actually a couple of other arm plates that can go on the side here. Underneath this arm plate, there's actually a peg that this would replace, which would be the place that Laserbeak would be able to perch on. All right, back over here with you. So we got Laserbeak, we have Ratbat. So he has a bunch of posability in terms of wing location. The feet can move, and actually his little jaw opens up. That was probably the tiniest piece in the set, was Ratbat's jaw. Okay, you go over there. Let's go with Rumble next. So Rumble in his just regular robot form is actually pretty close to just a Galaxy version Blokees figure. And in terms of its construction and in terms of its size. So he actually has a number of different attachments, alterations that you can do. So we have these drills that can be replaced onto his hands. There's two different ones. And then, of course, we have his pile drivers. And now let's see if I can actually do this. So how do these work? We just slide them on here. I think his arm goes up like this. And then the pile driver goes in there. And yes, and the same thing would be over here. I think we have to turn that hand a little bit more. It's very finicky. There we go. And there we have Rumble in all of his pile driving glory. Now these things actually can extend in and out a little bit for posability, I suppose. He does have, of course, all the usual Blokees joints as well. Feet, ankles, hips, knees, and the arms and whatnot, and of course the waist can twist. All in all, he's pretty neat, but he's not my favorite, and I'm going to show you my favorite right now. That honor belongs to Ravage. Now this, he's not as articulated as Rumble, but I mean he just looks cool. All of these, the legs, all posable, and in fact, what's cool is they actually, maybe not so much with those, but the front legs, I think, bend all the way up, like as if you were going to transform him into his cassette tape form. Sort of reminds me a little bit of the Voltron Lions, but he's got, of course, the leg leg posability in both, I don't know, what do you call these? The knees? The knees and then the shoulders. Elbows and shoulders maybe for the front legs. And then, of course, similarly in the back, the knees and the hips, I guess. He's got some rockets on the back here. His tail is actually posable. He actually has a twist joint here, so we can like twist him into all kind of positions. His neck and also his jaw. Pretty neat figure. I think I'm going to display him somewhere on his own, probably. Maybe on my desk. Maybe it'll be a place of honor on my desk somewhere. All right. One final thing to demonstrate, I think, well, maybe not final, but we'll see, is the sound and light functionalities. So there's actually a magnetic module buried in the chest here that is activated by this magnet. Oops. Wow, totally dropped that. All right. That's activated by this module here with the Decepticon symbol on it. And what we do is we just bring this up to his chest, and the first time you do it, his eyes will light up red. The second time we do it, and let me be quiet for this. Not only that, if we do it again, and one final. It's hard to understand what he's saying, but at least that last one we could hear at the end where he's saying, eject, 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 where he's trying to send out all of his minions to do his bidding. One final touch will just turn him back off. Pretty cool, I must say. Oh yeah, there is one final thing, sorry about that, but there's this base that can actually be used for in a number of ways. So there's this grip here, which can actually grip onto Soundwave's waist, so it can hold him upright. I don't know why we need that, because just like in all the other Blokees Classic series and Galaxy series, there are these pegs for his feet to go on, and his feet actually have holes for there. So why would we ever really need this claw? I don't know. There is another attachment we can take off the claw and put on this other attachment here. I'm going to actually do that right now. Except I don't have the right attachment on for Laserbeak. If we would actually have his feet with the peg attached, we could actually have this as a perch for Laserbeak. I don't know why we'd need this whole big stand for just perching Laserbeak, but there you go. Maybe we could adjust it so that this could be like standing way far up above Soundwave, so that it's like Laserbeak is soaring over Soundwave. But I don't think that's even possible because Soundwave is way too big. So let's just try it out for whether we actually need this armature or not. I'm just going to try to position Soundwave on here. Move these guys out of the way. And see if he will stand on his own. I don't see why not. He was standing on my desk, or on my table here, without any problems. And in fact, there you go. He's standing perfectly fine. Very stable. In fact, we could turn this almost like, well, maybe not completely horizontal. He is pretty heavy. But almost horizontal. And he still doesn't fall off. So, there we go. I'll just take that off for now. This is a pretty cool set. The only thing that I can think of that would have made it better, in my opinion, is if we had more pieces to build a Soundwave in his cassette player form. Now, of course, that probably would have been double the pieces and maybe like 2/3 more of the price, but just to have that version would be pretty nice. All right. I think we're pretty... Oh, nope. One more thing I want to do. Let's move these out of the way. And of course we have to do a comparison, don't we? Let's get Action Series Soundwave here. Let's move those guys further out of the way. And what else do we have here? We have, of course, Galaxy version Soundwave. And of course, we have Defender version Soundwave. Let's more center these guys. And you can see the level of detail that you get as you go to each size up figure. I mean, even the Defender one is pretty good. Of course, you don't have a lot of the fine different color details, especially in the legs. They totally got that wrong in terms of they're just completely blue here, whereas they're totally multicolor there. But you do have the cassette recorder window. Of course, with the Galaxy one, we do get some more detail down in the legs and in the arms. But it doesn't, I mean, it does match, I guess, a little bit. It's a little bit different. I guess should be the G1 version. I think with this one, yeah, I think this cassette player opens. It does. And I think, yeah, the little cassette pops out. I completely forgot about that. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I am going to eagerly await the next Action Series Blokees that comes out. In general, I'm pretty happy with Blokees overall on all the different scales. They're very fun to build, pretty easy. I really don't have many complaints. Top-notch workmanship, everything. So, until next time, see you later, guys.